Now, we all know that the easiest attack in Clash of Clans is using lightning spells and witches. And at Town Hall 15, there are new levels to both of these. So let's give you exactly how you can use this attack with 18 witches, but also how this works against different type of max Town Hall 15 bases. Now, like I said, all these bases are maxed thanks to the dev build. So this shows exactly how good they're going to be against a fully maxed out base. And of course, if you're wondering what the army composition is, here is the army comp with the recommended clan castle. The link to the army comp link is going to be in the description below. So let's start with the box base. The easiest way to plan this out is you're either going to zap out the scatters or the infernos. In this example, I first start with the infernos. So since the infernos were by a spell tower, that is the poison spell tower, I can easily remove that. The scatters can be distracted by skeletons or the king or royal champion, so you're easily fine with those. Outside of that, I use the log launcher through the middle to remove the eagle, remove the monolith, and also activate the invisibility spell tower, so that way I can also remove the town hall. That makes it really easy since this base is fairly symmetrical and really helps witches as they can easily move on the flanks and through the core, and it just allows them to have a very easy time through the base. So let's first start with exactly what I'm doing. So you're going to start off with the lightning spell and the earthquake method, the zapquake. And you're removing these infernos. You can use a lot less since you're going in for the spell tower and the infernos, unlike going in for scatter shots, which you'll see later. I had some extra ones I used later on to weaken defenses, but then you'll create the funnel with either witches or, in my case, a baby dragon and yeti, and then sending in the log launcher with the ice golems and the witches, then sending in my king, queen, and grand warden. Now, in my case, I would highly recommend having the grand warden move with your log launcher if possible. In this case, unfortunately, he goes with the king and all those other troops, so it really doesn't help, and by the time I use the ability, it's a little too late, but it does still protect a ton of witches and skeletons, which makes it much easier. In this case, dealing with an enemy CC is not that hard to deal with at all since you have so many skeletons. Now, I use the RC on the right side of the base. This provides even more value, and I bring headhunters to help that royal champion. The king on the other side, though, is helping tank for the witches, the skeletons, and removing the scatter shots. That's exactly what the royal champion is doing. The log launcher was able to break through, bringing in the ice golem and maybe even an electro titan, and allowing your queen and anything else to remove the town hall, since it's really right there. You have enough flanking witches to easily clear the other two sides, so it's fine if those troops and witches die. Outside of that, you'll have that royal champion still easily work her way through and get a ton of great value. But otherwise, it's a really simple way to get the 3-star on this type of base. Now, what's also very easy is for using my creator code CORRUPT. It's a great way to support me, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me so far, so thank you. Now, against an anti-3, it's going to be a little bit different. In my case, I use the lightning spells to remove the invisibility spell tower, scattershot, and expo on the left. On the right, the scattershot and expo for the zapquake on that side. Then I've got the witches and everything else moving through to remove the eagle, 2 multi-infernos, and the town hall. Outside of that, it's a super simple way to still move through since you should still have flanking witches and the king and royal champion for support. Just keep in mind that this is a bit of a hit or miss on this type of base. So, first things first, you're going to start off with the zapquake. I use my lightning spells on the left, removes the invisibility spell tower, which is really nice. And of course, I use my next 6 lightning spells and earthquake on the other side to remove the scatter and the expo. And really kind of helps just create a little bit more of a path. Now I use the same thing, baby dragon yeti, then using my ice golems, and I am attacking from a corner, so I do want to use a couple witches to funnel a little bit more, but then send in my king, queen, grand warden, and that just allows everything to move through. Now my royal champion will either go to the left or to the right. In my case, I hold on to it for a little bit longer, but I use the grand warden ability early. This really helps get a lot of value, and it allows something like the king to remove the inferno, and then it allows me to still work myself towards the core. I use the royal champion on the right side of the base, since there are a lot of defensive skeletons, so just something that I had to kind of deal with, but it allows me to still continue to move through. I'm going to deal with the enemy CC. Again, it's not too bad. Even if my king dies, it's fine. I've got a ton of witches and skeletons on the left. Even though they're getting completely smoked by the wizard tower, it's still fine. as I continue to work myself in, the Royal Champion is helping my queen still remain focused on removing the Town Hall. And that's pretty much what the skeletons and witches are allowing my queen to do as well. Even though the super minions stayed up from the CC, I could easily remove them from the queen without using her ability. I did use it here in order to make sure that everything still works through, and while my Royal Champion died, I got enough value where my queen could also still remove the Town Hall thanks to Phoenix, which is why I think that hero pet is the best for her. Removing the Town Hall and allowing the skeletons and witches from both the left and the right sides clear through. Just keep in mind that if the invisibility spell tower goes off, everything stays stationary, but you'll still get the 3-star this way. Now, if you made it this far in the video and you're enjoying it and you want to improve as a player in Clash of Clans, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. It's a great way to support me, everything I do here, and of course, it is a great way to never miss an upload and improve your skills in Clash of Clans. Now, last but not least, we have a similar box base, but this one is a teaser base. Now, in my personal opinion, it's probably the weakest of all of them. In this base in particular, you had 2 single target infernos, so this should be a given. In this specific case, using 6 lightning spells to remove the Scattershot and the invisibility spell tower, and 5 lightning, 1 earthquake to remove the poison spell tower and the inferno really makes it so much easier for everything else. But it can also make it very confusing and the pathing really wonky. So it really kind of depends on the base. But in other cases, you should have enough witches on the left or on the right, just clearing through and allowing yourself to create a funnel where you can either send in your Royal Champion on the left or right, and you have everything still moving through the core. So in starting this off, I used the lightning spells against the 2 scatters and the invisibility spell tower that is extremely close. Now you can activate the Town Hall, but in my case, I actually wouldn't recommend it against teaser bases. But then I used the rest of my lightning and earthquake to remove that spell tower and the inferno. Then I'll go ahead and use my witches and ice golems, and I didn't necessarily use the Yeti and baby dragon like I did before, but instead sending it in with everything else and then creating a funnel otherwise. In my case, I made sure that a lot of my skeletons and witches were underneath that warden ability alongside my heroes to still work myself through. I did want to send in my Royal Champion to help support the witches on the right side since they were starting to need it, since they were starting to thin out a little bit more. I use a Grand Warden ability within the core, which really provides more support. It allows the Log Launcher to get more value, and of course, I can remove the enemy CC this way. Outside of that, I don't really have a lot of tankage on the left or right. The Wizard Tower are doing a lot of work, so not really a lot of support here. But having the Ice Golems from the Clan Castle helps, and having the Royal Champion on the right really helps as well. Now, going in all the way to the Town Hall is a bit of a drive. It's a really difficult thing because especially if you use all your hero abilities beforehand, it's not necessarily going to play out great. And in my case in particular, we still had witches on the left and the right, a ton of witches on the right, and still having the Royal Champion up as well with Diggy. And this really helps a lot in clearing through. All in all, really what you want to remember is that witches are going to die from the Town Hall poison, so it's something to keep in mind that leaving the Town Hall up for the witches is not really a smart thing, especially when we had a bomb tower that was still up. Somehow, the witches on the left side of the base were able to stay up for just long enough to clear through the rest of it. So even though the Town Hall poison got everything else, somehow the 2 witches had enough skeletons and enough damage to easily remove the bomb tower and get the 3-star. But of course, I wouldn't recommend this attack for this type of base. Overall, I think that the Zap Witches here at Town Hall 15 is okay. It's not necessarily the strongest attack, but it is still a relatively easy one for those newcomers to Town Hall 15 on the right base. It's going to be more base dependent, but it should still work completely fine. So if you are below Town Hall 15, which I know most of you are, check out my Town Hall 13 Recall Hybrid. This is a great tutorial on exactly how you can use that with the new recall, and of course, check out my top 3 Town Hall 14 Electro Titan attack video. This should be a really good one and giving you some ideas on the new troop. And I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.